Meet incredible women transforming challenges into success and redefining empowerment.
Who are rewriting the rules, shattering expectations, and refusing to fade into the background. Empowered women say no to being defined by their challenges in a world that tries to silence and sideline them. She Wears Boldly celebrates the remarkable journeys of women who have transformed their struggles into stepping stones to success. So grab your coffee or tea, settle in, and get ready to be inspired and fired up. Sorry. Hello, everyone, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. This is Dr. Deborah, and She Wears Boldly, Women Owning the Stage. And today we have a special guest. Every week we have a special guest, but she's really special this time. Yes, I want to welcome you here, Stephanie, and basically just tell them who you are and what your story is, because everybody loves to hear a good story.
They love a good story. Well, I am. They tell me, they call me the Tower of Power. Known in my business streets as Dr. Stephanie Wall, the founder of 1 Million Lives Transformed. And you said, what in the world is 1 Million Lives Transformed and why did you form it? If you allow me, I'll give you a couple of minutes to just tell you that, like many people, I have a story, you have a story, we all have a story, but what I found that most of us are on mute only because we don't give ourselves permission to stand true in that story. So here's mine. Long story short, many, many moons ago, I've had many positions, but particularly I had a position where I served as a professional law enforcement professional. What does that mean? I was a police officer. I was, for many years, I want to say the first 15, not even 15, the first 10 of them, I was just serving confidently as a patrol officer. I mean, in every aspect, you name it, I did it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, why am I not elevating? I figured I'm just good at what I'm doing. I'm fine. Listen, no big deal. But then one day I did take that exam and I elevated up to the next level, which was corporal. So that means I had to go to these trainings with other supervisors, and where we would do all of that elevation training, all about training per year, 2 or 3 times. Well, at the end of the day, the last training of the day, after all the stuff, I'm talking on the ground, scrapping, is I like to call fighting, online, training our body how to defend ourselves, and at the range, all this stuff. The last thing was a classroom training. What I didn't realize was like what was going on was this was a special training. In the back of the room was filled with the trainers who had been with us for the whole day. And I was thinking, why are they here? Because typically they are out of there. But they were lined up in the back of the room for this training. So I see my good friend Benita, and I'm wondering, why is Benita here? Because I know she's not a supervisor, and why is she here at the end of the day as a supervisor's training? And I later learned that she was there to conduct the training that was about domestic violence. Now, I had went to many, many domestic violence calls, so I thought, okay, here's another little boring exam. I'm just going to get through it. But Benita began to talk, and she started with telling her story. Now, I had known Benita for almost 20 years. We worked together. She's a police officer. She worked in domestic violences, which is why she was there speaking.
Oh, wow.
Her story was that she had been the victim of intimate partner violence from her first marriage while she was in the academy. So much so that while she was going through the academy, she would hide in her car to try to do the work. Now, imagine this. When I go into a classroom, I sit usually within the second row. So I'm right in the middle. I can't get away. And I'm looking around the room. Most people in the room were males. And I'm noticing that they are in a dry eye in the room. It's because many of them had went through the police academy with her. So they were like feeling some kind of way, but what they didn't know was so was I. Because all of a sudden tears were pouring in my eyes. And I was looking at the door, I was looking at Benita, and I was looking at the door, I was looking at Benita, and finally I got up and I ran out of the room, left, right, left, right into the bathroom, and I was holding onto the sink, and I was saying, do they know? Do they know that someone tried to take my life? And in that moment, I was like, Stephanie, you got to go back in. If you don't go back in there, they're going to think something's going on with you and your current husband, who has nothing to do with that prior situation. And he's also a current police officer here.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
One of the sweetest people you would ever meet in the world. So this just wasn't adding up. And I know they were like, Stephanie, who's always so smiling, is crying. What is going on? So I come back into the room. I sit down. I don't make it through. I'm crying again, but I stayed. When it's over, I just darted out there, got into my patrol car, holding onto the steering wheel all the way back home, thinking, I'm gonna have to quit. I'm gonna have to quit this because they're gonna judge me. They already know something's going on. They're never gonna see me the same. I've lost credibility. And my husband's gonna have to quit too because now they're gonna judge him and he's not gonna be able to stand this because he's such a sweet guy. I had made this decision. When I pulled into my garage, I sat there. I sat there thinking, my God, how do I tell him that I've embarrassed the family? He finally opened the door and was like, why are you sitting in the car? And he came out and got me. And I told him the story. I'm sure I sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, wah, wah. When I got finished, he just held me and looked me in my eye. He said, Stephanie, I know the story. And I've been married to you over 15 years. And he reminded me of all of the families and the women and the men whose lives I had transformed. Why I was in that profession, why I was
Right.
doing what I was doing, and telling me that, no, you can't quit. So he, at that point, I think you should go talk to Benita. So the next day I went and found Benita and I asked her, what made you tell that truth to everybody? Now that, why'd you tell it? And she said, Steffi, I don't know what you're going through. But for me, that story, my past was holding me hostage and keeping me from growing. And whatever it is that's had you crying, because it is painful, it's going to keep holding you back until you release it. And I remembered in that moment something that I went to therapy after this horrific thing occurred to me. But as soon as I started feeling a little bit better, I stopped because I thought I didn't need to go any further. How many of you have ever taken medicine and you felt like felt a little better and you stopped taking the medicine and then it came back because it's we all have. And how many of you know that trauma unresolved will come back and bite you in your behind, right? Will wreck your life. What was wrecking my life in that moment? So I decided that I was going to go back and get the help. I went and back and saw a counselor, so a therapist, so I could talk through what this thing I was feeling. And they encouraged me to journal what was on my, start journaling. And I began journaling, and that journal became my book. And I eventually wrote a book called How My Part-Time Job Saved My Life, which was the first book I wrote. And from there, I learned there was so many people, including the people on the job, who once they read the book. And I found out that once they knew my story, my full story, they didn't judge me in a way negatively. In fact, more people started lining up to tell me that it was their story. It was their mother's story. It was their sister's story. It was all these people in their lives. And because they saw the strength that I showed every day, to know that behind all of it, there was strength. There was something I had experienced that I had overcome. It gave other people strength. So from there, I realized I needed to help. I needed to unmute. And so now I'm on a mission to transform the lives of 1 million women. My story may not be their story, but we all have a story, and those stories have muted us. And I'm now unmuted, and so I'm standing 10 toes down to help other women to become unmuted, which has in turn helped them to help their friends and family, men, women, and children to unmute themselves.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is. We do all have stories, and
Yes.
some of them are horrific. But I so agree with you. If we're holding it inside, it's going to make us sick, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
like physically sick, not just mentally, not just afraid, but I think it can make you physically sick.
Oh, when I tell you, I had on the way home, I mean, I knew I was making a difference. I knew every day that I was making a difference in the lives of the people who I served. And the thought of having to give it up because of fear, it was just fear, made me sick. I was on my way to a depressed state. And thank goodness that my husband saw it and called it out for what it was before I had a chance to get there. Because had not he not been there and we had this conversation and I had some checks and balances, I would have quit. And there would have been no moving to the next stage. There would have been no learning more about myself. There would have been no taking courses to get better and better at my own personal and professional development. There would be no Dr. Stephanie Wall. There would be no 1 million lives transformed. I believe things happen for a reason. But, and I say sometimes, I believe in God. So I say to God, did I have to go through that? I mean, it could have other been another journey. But whatever we go through, and I've heard it said a million times that, and I want to say Dr. Sherwood said, your story is about you, but it ain't for you. And I
Oh,
truly believe that. I truly believe that.
oh, chills.
Yes.
I love that. Um, I know a lot of women are not talking about things because they're afraid they're going to be judged.
Yes.
So, what do you have to say to them? And you said a little already on that subject, but can you really dive into that? Because I know
Mhm.
the fear comes from, well, if everybody knew this happened to me, then they're going to look
Mhm.
at me different. And yes, they probably will, but
Yes.
but it doesn't have to be a negative thing. How can they use that to get free and help other people to get free?
Oh, thank you. That's a great question. And thank you, Dr. Deborah. So I'm going to tell you one of the things that I always, and I say often, is this: if you and I were sitting on a plane and we had just been communicated enough that we're talking and we,
Yeah.
we're not strangers at this point. We've spoken at least, right? And you see that I'm rubbing my temples and you say, are you okay? And I say, I have a headache, but I don't have any aspirin. And you have some.
Yeah,
Are you going to offer me the aspirin?
of course.
Yes. Okay, so your story, your truth is somebody's medicine. And every time, without fail, when I share my story, particularly on stages, there are lines of women crying. And I've given them permission to release their story, own the fact that they can move on, they can let it go, and then and how to share it. So I'm going to tell you this. If you're somebody and you have a story, I'm not saying that your story is for everybody. And I'm not sure. And I'm going to also tell you that when you start sharing your story, you have to get some training. Share the story from a place of healing, not from the scab, right? Not from the injury. There's a methodology of how to share it, but you have to release it because the story, and you all have heard that, I'm going to give you we'll give a little psychology here. We have our conscious mind, right? What,
Right.
the thinking, the
Yeah.
brain. And then we have our subconscious mind, what feeds our conscious mind. So that's the thing that the thing we don't
Right.
know we're doing, right? We might watch TV for hours as if we're binge watching garbage, it's giving us garbage and it is now influencing what we're thinking. And if you tell yourself, if you wake up in the morning and you say it's going to be a bad day, then what's going to happen?
It's going to be a
It's
bad
going to
day.
be a day because your
Mm.
body's going to go toward that. You're going to make it a bad day, even if it's a good day. So I'm telling you that when you're thinking about your story and be sure thinking about what you're telling yourself, you have to then say, why is it important for me to share that particular story with this particular person or this particular group? If you are a woman who has experienced uh, any type of harm, and you are encountering other women, whether it be young women or older women, somebody is sitting there believing that they're the only ones in the world that is experiencing this thing, and they are dying inside. And you may be the only person, your story in particular, that can change the trajectory of where they're going. And when I say trajectory, I'm talking if they may be contemplating taking their lives that day. It is not uncommon for those of us who have stories and we share them, particularly places of trauma. And it doesn't always have to be trauma. It could be a place you can talk about your experience of the fact that you didn't experience any of that type of stuff in your life.
Yeah.
You had a great upbringing. But when you got out into the real world, as we like to say, you experienced friends and family who experienced it. And this is what you did to help them. You see?
Right.
But we all have stories. In fact, your story of, I use the story sometimes. Like where I grew up here is in Howard County, Maryland, in Columbia, Maryland. It was a planned community. It was a planned community specifically for people that maybe come from different backgrounds, interracial couples and everything else. It was a planned community. So people, the wealthy could live right beside the people that didn't have as much money. So it was a planned community. And so I grew up with the salad bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I did not experience what other people might have experienced. I grew up in a salad bowl. But when I stepped outside of what they call the bubble, once I stepped outside of Columbia, not too, just still in Maryland, stepped outside of Columbia,
Right.
then and only then did things I experienced things that would be considered negative toward me based on the color
Oh,
of my
yeah.
skin, right? But here's the thing, that's the story in and of itself. Let me tell you about me growing up from the very beginning. I can tell you story after story of being in Girl Scouts and the brownies and the bluebirds and there's been the melting pot of children where some of them, one was a young lady named Samantha who was from India. She was orphan, and a Caucasian family went to India, adopted her, and they were
Wow.
raising her. They were her parents. And her skin was very dark. It was darker than mine. And so she was trying to understand, like, why do we not look alike? Right? And and while we were in elementary school, they had to tell her that she was adopted. And we were in the Bluebirds together. And I remember how crushed she was and angry and all these things because she wanted to know why her parents gave her away. And they had to tell these stories about her experience. So it's stories, like we have tons of them. But they make us who we are. But if we don't share them, not only will we cause harm to ourselves, but you'll harm other people by preventing them from getting the thing they need to let them know they're not alone and how to move, not past it, because they're never going to forget it, but how to live with it and how they can use that story to uplift other people.
Yeah, something you said a little bit ago that just really banged me was
Mm,
you said it's a weapon.
mhm.
That's, I mean, a weapon. Wow.
There's so many brilliant people, as you know, Dr. Deborah, in boardrooms, classrooms, everywhere. They have shrunk who they are because of something that they believed about themselves.
Oh,
And
so
that
many.
belief, oh my gosh. And it comes from it always comes from something that happened a long time ago.
Always way
Right,
back, way
way
back.
back. And that's why people get frustrated when they say, I don't want to go. My name is Stephanie and I'm her. I did the same thing. When you go to therapy, it does not start from the today. It does not start from the incident. It always go all the way back. Tell me about your childhood. You're like, well, what? Oh man, why I gotta talk about my childhood? Because they have to find out who you are first. And where did this thing come from? This belief, this understanding. So don't get frustrated with the process. And for those of you that say, I don't do therapy, I know my culture as well, there was a stigma attached to it. Now people are doing much better. And right about now, everybody is in therapy. And if you aren't, you should be because we are uploading so much garbage in, garbage there. You have to find a way to get it out. If you're coaching and consulting and supporting other people, I dare to say coaches have coaches, therapists have therapists. It's
Hmm.
necessary. It is necessary. I can't say it enough. My personal philosophy is that clarity is kindness, but that our stories, they're not just about us. They're for us to elevate, release, and restore other people. Dr. Deborah, there's so many books out there about books and talks and training about storytelling.
Yes.
We all are teachers and facilitators, and we're helping, we seek to help other people to learn. Folks do not learn or retain or anchor, whatever word you like to use, information, just bullets. They will
Yes.
forget that. But what they won't forget is a story. I bet you that whomever is listening and watching this podcast will not forget. They may forget my name, but they will not forget my story. But again, I'm Dr. Stephanie Wall, the Tower of Power. But you will not forget the story. You may be maybe pieces of it, it may be all of it. But imagine that I was called to serve and save other people's lives, and
Wow.
I still am.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my degree is in transformational leadership. And it's exactly what you're talking about because my mentor is Dr. Maslow. And what he did is he found out particularly women end up with something called a false horizon, where they think
Mm.
they're less than what they are and make choices of things that happen to them. And this all starts back when we're 5, 3, 2, because you can't reason what happens to you when you're young, and it just builds and builds.
Mhm.
And we've got to have, and I think that's what you're calling for, is a realization, not just to tell other people, but to tell ourselves it's okay. These are our stories and we can own them, even if they're not good.
That's so correct. And then think about those courageous women, all those women you work with. It, from the CEO to the entrepreneur to the manager to the mom to the person and lay person in the churches, you're all leading something, but you have to first lead yourself. And your work is transformation. Mine, I'm in the neuroscience, I'm in the transformation, I'm in the strength coaching. And this is the thing, it all ties in together. Because whatever we believe
It
about
does.
ourselves and the skill set, and here's the facts. Everything that causes us frustration is tied to something that we did not finish.
Oh,
Everything is tied to something we did not finish. No, we need a return on finish, not a return on investment, a return on finish, a ROF. But I'm going to also tell you this. If your fear, whatever you're fearful of, is tied to something that you need. If you're afraid of public speaking, then you need to go practice. You need to learn how to do it properly. You need to get trained in it. Because once you've done it a ton of times, it becomes a non-issue, right? Will you
right.
still have the butterflies? Absolutely. That's normal. But you will move through it quickly. If you are afraid of taking being a translator of something or being whatever it is, you have to get what you need so that you're comfortable. It's a skill. It's a skill that you need. If you're
Right.
afraid of networking, it's because you don't know. You're like, well, how do you network? What's the easiest way to approach somebody? These are the things. But I want to tell you, no matter what you do, even before got on here today, before we began, I said to myself, okay, you must always regulate. One,
Hmm.
I have to regulate because I get very excited and I speak too fast, and I don't want you to miss any of these points. So to regulate, once you were doing your opening, Dr. Deborah, I took a deep breath for
Hmm.
inhale for 4 and for 6 to cause me to regulate. And I also said to myself, slow it down. If it sounds like it is too slow to you, then it's probably just right.
I love that.
It's probably just right. And for my people that are speakers and you do a lot of recording and because this is the things this is my lane of brilliance, all of these things, how to help you to find your your voice, your story, and your stages. But I will tell you that when I record, and someone else taught me this, someone in the group called Black CEO taught me that you when you speak fast, when you record, have some music that you like that's playing in the background because pastors, when they speak to a cadence and it helps you to stay on the
Right.
rhythm of the words so that you don't overspeak, right? So get the music and I don't have music right now, but in my mind, I'm trying to speak to a cadence. And when I notice if I'm stumbling over my words, it's because I'm speaking too
Hmm.
quickly. So for my people that speak too quickly, like me, I was once told you talk too fast, your voice is too heavy, and therefore you can't be a speaker. right? And you're too tall. So I was like, well, first of all, I'm not too tall. I am statuesque. All 5'10" of me. My voice is not too heavy. It is sultry. And I do not talk too fast. I talk with purpose. I speak with purpose,
Love that.
right? So I have to make sure though that when I'm speaking with purpose, that the words are enunciated, you can hear the words coming out my mouth and you can hear them clearly. Because sometimes when we are not sure of ourselves, we do what? We mumble. We don't open our mouths. And we don't open our
Mhm.
mouths, the words don't come out. So it's so many things. And that
Yeah.
it's when we think about what we do, sometimes people think it's just about us lecturing to them, but really it's teaching you whatever it is that you need, you as the human, what you need to stand authentically in who you are, not who we are, not Dr. Deborah, not Dr. Stephanie, but who you are. We help you to show up there boldly. We do the
Right.
same work, but we do it authentically differently, right? You need, and so let me say this because there's somebody right now that's listening and they probably in this field. There's you absolutely there are multiple people that you can work with because there's some people I have a coach and a person that supports me in my brand. I have somebody else that supports me with media. I got somebody else that supports me with, with some of messaging. So it's you need multiple people to help support you. You need a team to support you. You may need training from different places.
Right.
You don't know what you need until you need it. And you may start out with one place and get what you need from there. And it's time for you to move to the next spot. But don't turn down something because you don't think it's for you. Get what you need so that you can show up authentically as yourself, so that there's no fear because you understand what it is that you do.
Oh, love that. Oh, wow. Um, so I'd like to ask this question. It's a standard, but I really love the question.
Okay.
So if you were sitting with your 20-year-old self on a couch, what advice would you give her? And the reason I ask that is because I know there's a whole generation out there that needs to hear what we learned. What would you tell her?
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna tell you this is my 20-year-old self was a very tough time for me. I would tell her first, Stephanie, love shouldn't hurt. Love should not hurt, not mentally, not physically, not emotionally. Stephanie, you deserve so much more. Stephanie, you are so smart. You're so beautiful. Yes, we've had some bumps in the road, but the world and our family, they need us. I love you. Ooh, life is gonna be so good for us later on. Life is gonna be great. You can do this. Go and finish what you started. You are amazing. And then I'd wipe her tears.
I'm almost crying. It's like that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
All all of us need to hear that at any age.
Yeah,
Yeah, but definitely young people need to hear that. Too
yeah,
often they don't.
yeah, they do.
That
And
is
and they are going through, and I mean, you would think that we would never have to say those words again with all of technology and all of the things that have changed in the world. But women and men are still going through the same old
same
crap
stuff.
that I went through.
Yeah, it doesn't really change all that much.
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't, particularly for us women.
yeah. Oh,
It's still a struggle, and we're part of it too. I speak on that. Some of
yes,
it's us, and we have to change, but so much.
yeah,
There's a reason we are what we are.
yeah.
There's reason guys are what they are too. They have their own issues.
They do, and they certainly listen, guys. If you listen, you need some therapy, because guys really
Yes,
we at least have people we can talk to our good girlfriends and maybe have some groups we talk to, but guys don't typically have these real heart-to-heart conversations. And somebody starts and somebody be like,
right.
man, I ain't trying to talk about that. So if you don't have those kind of circles that you can really talk that real hard, real talk, then see a therapist. And you need therapists anyway, even if you can't do that because they're not therapists unless they are, right? Because I will tell you, I'm one of the things, because it's important to me. I serve in my community, we have a organization called HopeWorks. And what HopeWorks is, it's a domestic violence center, right? It's where it deals with all of the things domestic violence. So I serve on their board, and I chose to serve on their board because, hey, that's close to my heart. I'm trying to be a part of the solution. If I'm going to spend my money there,
Right.
and invest my time and energy and resources there. And wow, when folks are trying to get away from the situation, we house them. We can have all kinds of workshops and all kinds of resources and provide
Oh,
clothing and all the
yeah.
things that you need when you are trying to run for your life, literally, and educate the community about it. So that's something that's important to me. I will tell you that once during COVID, I was on Clubhouse and ended up in a group that had hundreds of people in there, and they were talking about domestic violence. So I
Yeah.
somehow got up on the stage, right? You know how they go up the stage, and there was a couple of gentlemen up there, and there was one guy. He and I were going back and forth because he did not want to acknowledge that he said that well, where he came from, he said that's just how it is. I mean, it's not violence. But my girl hit me, I hit her. That's like we just playing. And I was like, that's not playing, that's violence.
Yeah.
And then there was another gentleman in which they appreciated that I said, listen, I was in law enforcement. And I will tell you, I responded to calls where I knew the moment I walked in who the real victim was, and it wasn't the woman.
Mm-hmm.
But the man would not, because of the masculinity thing, the man would not tell us that he was the victim.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of peer pressure for them, and it's hard. I
Right.
was
So,
just
because
thinking about what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah,
it is
they were
really
they were told to
hard.
suck it up. Like, listen, you're a man, woman,
Yeah,
because
just suck it up.
yeah, think about this.
You're a guy.
You're a guy, and we teach. What do we teach our little boys? Don't you hit the little girls? But do we teach our little boys don't hit
No,
the little
but we need
girls, or hit the
to.
boy, hit the boys? And what do we
We
say?
absolutely need to.
Yes, and what else do we do? Oh, he hit me. Oh, this is a little love tap. He likes you. No, 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 no. And then look at all the movies. Think about movies going back as far as you can think, the black and white movies. What do the women do? Slap the taste out of the men's mouths. Slap. That is, now if a man slapped a woman, is that assault? Yes.
Yes.
It's also assault if a woman slapped a man. So we've got to get away from that being the norm. Everybody keep their hands to themselves. Everybody. I have 3 sons, and it gives me in the pit of my stomach, it makes me sick to think
Right.
that they would either be a victim or put their hands on a woman.
Yeah.
Keep your hands to yourself. And I say it all the time. They know how
Mm-hmm.
important it is to me. And I say it to everybody, right? It's nothing. Listen, hands are made to bring love and joy, not pain. And that
Not
is my
pain.
belief. And that is, and that is my core belief with everything. This is why I do what I do. This is why I write books. And why I help other people who want to share their voice, but they're not ready to do it on their own. So we do it in an anthology. I do this work not for me, although it helps me feel better, right? But I do it because I know that how I got to be free from feeling a certain way about myself. If you want to feel better about yourself, go help somebody else. I
Yeah.
pro Look, you feeling down today, go serve. Your whole mood will change. You feeling like your life sucks, go serve at a shelter. I tell you, your life will change. Go serve at your place of worship where they're feeding or clothing someone.
Right.
Pack up bag, take some old purses and put some meals, some toiletries in it, and go out and give it to the homeless in your street. See how your life changes. This is
Yeah.
so important.
Well, actually, it was, I think my first podcast was the lady who suffers from a lot of physical stuff. But when she's well, she makes these flowers and she goes out, starts handing them to people that she feels needs a flower that day. It can be that simple.
Oh my God. Oh, we would be on all day if I tell you,
That
but
gave me chills.
let me tell you, there's my sister who, and now we just reached the third year in January. Her son, my nephew, his life was taken tragically on the 24th of January. And she's fighting to still want to be alive because she lost
Right.
her baby son.
It's hard. It's
It
hard.
is. And it was hard for me who I could help everybody else. And I was like, how do I help my sister? And I said, by doing exactly what I do for other people, help her define her voice, her story, and her stages. And this introverted person now speaks on more stages and is helping other people by sharing her story. And one of the
Right.
things that she does is that she buys flowers, like randomly. She might, if she's in the grocery store, she buys flowers. And she just hands a flower out to random people. And because to transform, she does what makes her feel good. Think about it. Whatever the thing is that you really, really do, you're passionate about this, your purpose is tied to.
Right.
The truth of the matter is you're healing your own self. You're going back giving the younger you what you always needed. Think about it. I'm transforming lives. I needed somebody to come transform my life.
So powerful. Well, tell them about your program
Okay.
and how they can get in touch. Of course, she's going to be giving me the call notes
Yes.
and I will have them out there so you can just click on it.
Okay.
But tell
So
them.
so I'm Dr. Stephanie Wall. You can find me everywhere on social media under Dr. Stephanie Wall, which is WALL. Of course, you can just go to 1millionlivestransform.com, the one with the number one, 1 million lives transform, which is my website. Ultimately, I help humans, but particularly super serve women, uh, find their voices, their stories, their voices, and their stages. And what does that mean? You said it's the stages. If you want a stage, absolutely. But we are in boardrooms, classrooms, churches, you name it. We're standing up and we're talking to people. We're on Zooms and we're trying to find our way. So I help you with that. How do you show up authentically like you? How is it tied to your purpose? All of those things. We start with the mindset first because you cannot do anything before that. So
Right.
I do that through many ways, through books, coaching events, such as on March the 21st here in
Mhm.
Howard County, Maryland, at the Howard Community College at the Collard Foundation Complex. I'm in Columbia, Maryland. We are having our She Has Something to Say, this extension experience at the community college starting at 10 a.m. It's an all-day working event. It's not a workshop, it's a work event. You're going to be inspired, you be motivated, but you're going to learn, you're going to leave with
Right.
something. Because how many of you have ever went somewhere, got all motivated, got all you ready to go, you got your big binder, you got all kinds of paper, you throw it in the back of the car, but you don't really do anything with it because they never really told you what you could do. It gave
Right.
you got a lot of notes, but it didn't really give you any meat and potatoes. You couldn't cook it up and make a meal with it at all. Well, this one, there's real live people who've been through it. And they're not coming for play. They're tired of people gatekeeping. I'm tired of people gatekeeping. So when they come,
Right.
not gonna be a little bit of something and you give us a bunch of money so we can work with you. Nope. It's gonna be here. This is what I've been through. This is how I got here. Do this and you on your way. Period. Here you it's a small intimate group, so you can connect with them. It's not like somebody way over there. We are gonna be mingling all up in there, and the people at your table are super bad all by
Right.
themselves. They just happen to not be on the stage. So you'll be connecting with amazing people. And you're gonna have a blue carpet experience where you get to use your voice right then and there. Go on, take those pictures. Go on, get you some content. We're gonna teach you how to be amazing right then and there, how to unmute your voice that day. And if you feel like you say, you know what, Dr. Steph, I can't make that event, or I do want to make that event, you just go ahead and of course you go to shehasomethingtosay.com. But I'll give that to Dr. Deborah. The event's on the 21st. You want to lock it in. It's going to sell out because it's intimate. And I want to keep it very small on purpose.
Right.
But all the amazing women such as everybody doing the work that we're doing, or whatever you're doing, you may be leading a church, leading a group, leading just yourself. But you like, I don't know how to lead. I don't know where to go. I don't know what my next steps are. Won't you let us help you? Life was never meant to do alone. Again, I'm Dr. Stephanie Wall, and I look forward to working with you.
All right. And my last question, I ask all of my guests, what does she wears boldly mean to you?
Ooh, you're gonna love it. Okay, so I want you to know that my plan, my mastermind is actually called Whispers to Roars. And what that means to me is that many of us are walking around like on eggshells, we're whispering. If not, we're not even whispering, really just muted. Our voices are muted. So really, to boldly stand in who you are by using your voice, not screaming at people, but standing
Yes.
firmly in it and unapologetically. That's what it means to me.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Thank you. And
Thank you.
thank you so much for sharing today. And
Thank you
wow,
for
there was
having
a
me.
lot to think about in that. So you may want to watch this twice, to catch all of it. She had so much good information. And I just want to thank everybody out there for showing up and supporting us. And as always, roar boldly because you can.
Yes.
Have a great day.